Yo, what's good? It's Derek with Make That Make Sense. And we're going to get on here on this beautiful Saturday morning here in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro. And we're going to talk about topics that are in the news today. So I woke up today, saw that there was another U.S. military-led attack on a drug boat in international waters coming from Venezuela, I would imagine. And 3 people were killed in that operation. It's kind of interesting that, this is the third attack that we've had like that, that we've delivered to individuals who are supposedly running drugs and creating intimidation for those who would be in that activity, creating intimidation for the government of Venezuela and provoking them and killing their citizens, just kind of at will. And spending a lot of money at the same time doing that, because these weapons that they're using to blow up these boats that are not even that large are, probably worth 100 times whatever that boat was worth, or more, maybe 1,000 times more than what that boat was worth, which is crazy. But it makes you wonder. It's like there's always rules for thee, but not rules for me. And that's what I think, that's kind of the moniker of this administration. They tend to feel like we can tell you what to do and you have to do what we tell you to do. You're only allowed to do what we like you to do. You're only allowed to say what we like you to say. But when it comes to you, we don't have to listen to you. The same rules that we put on you don't apply to us. And that's where I think we're running into a really, really dangerous situation in the United States. And it's starting to leak out into other places too, right? It's starting to leak out into Venezuela, where they're actually killing Venezuelan citizens. I don't care if it's in international waters or not, you're still killing someone's citizens. This is somebody's maybe brother, father, uncle, son. You're still taking a life without giving the opportunity to defend themselves. And because it's deemed to be an activity that's not allowed, or an activity that's dangerous to American citizens in some way. I'm not here to argue that drugs are a good thing. Obviously, drugs are not a good thing. We can have a whole lot of discussion about that and where that, that discussion can go a lot of different ways, right? I have my own feelings about it, but I understand trying to stop drugs at the source. But I don't know that it's being done properly. I don't know that there is a respect for the sanctity of life when when these strikes are being carried out. Someone should at least be put on trial, given an opportunity to defend themselves, or given an opportunity to prove that even what they have is drugs or is not drugs. Just because it's on that particular route doesn't mean that everybody who's in a boat on that route has drugs on their boat. It doesn't mean that. So a lot of people make their living on the water. You don't know what they might be doing. So I think trial and adjudication is important, right? You have to get in front of a judge. You got to get in front of a jury, whatever that looks like in Venezuela. We know what that looks like in the United States, and you have to be able to at least have a defense for yourself before you're required to give your life. Now, there's certain situations when, say, if someone's threatening the police, like this guy in Ohio or whatever, he's got a gun and he's actively shooting at police and he's actively putting their life in danger, then yeah, that's one thing. You kind of got to handle that on the spot. You're not going to really get around. There's no way you're going to be able to drag this guy in, if he's actively creating that dangerous situation. So I understand the officers having to use lethal force in that situation because they deserve to go home the same way any other suspect or anyone deserves to be alive at the end of the day. They deserve that too. But in a situation where it's like you're seeing this boat on the ocean, you're saying, oh, that boat is running drugs, and then you drop a bomb on it, drop a missile on it. You might know for sure, you might not, but that person still deserves their day in court. And I think we're kind of getting away from that because this administration has kind of decided that if we don't agree with you and you don't agree with me, then you don't have any rights. We can take your rights away because we have the power to do it. So when we're talking about things like systemic racism and discriminations, this is what we mean. Is it always racial? No. But there can be discrimination or a trampling of rights when you have power to actually trample those rights. So when we talk about racism and all these isms and discriminations and all that type of stuff, we're talking about the power that's behind it and the system that's behind it. We're not talking about, just the normal guy on the street, typically, who may not like black people. He may not like Chinese people. He may not like, Jewish people. He may have that bias, right? But maybe he don't have the power to do anything. But what extent does he go to make himself more powerful than he is? Do they get on the phone and call the police and give a phony statement or tell a lie? That's the difference, because now you're involving power and authority that you don't really have. You're finding a way to get that authority so that you can force whatever you want onto a person. And so that's what we're talking about. I think, the word racism or whatever comes up a lot or whatever, like, oh, I'm not racist, I'm not this, that, and the other, but you might be bigoted, you might, just be bigoted, or you might be, I don't know, opinionated, like they said in the last couple of weeks. That might be what you are, but you haven't maybe invited the authority and the power to be able to help you enforce what you think on someone else for no real apparent reason, just because you desire to do it. So this administration is we call the administration racist or discriminatory and bigoted because of the actions that they're applying, and they have the power structure in place to kind of force you to do what they want you to do. And that's not the America that most of us want to live in. That's what we've always thought happened in the outside world. Some faraway country way over there somewhere, that's where it happens over there, and they have a dictator and they got somebody who's ruling with an iron fist, and we go there and we blow their country up and we try to set it straight. That's the narrative of the United States, right? We're for democracy, and we're bringing democracy to the whole world. That's a whole discussion in itself. But that's what we say that we do. So if we're at home saying you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to tell a joke that I don't like, you're not allowed to tell the truth about a situation, you're not allowed to produce reports that report the numbers behind the financial markets. You're not allowed to adjust those reports like you've done for decades and decades. You're not allowed to do any of those things because it makes me look bad. We never really had a president that did that, and not in my lifetime. I don't remember a president that's overstepped in that way like we have with Trump. And I don't blame just Trump, because there's a lot of people behind it. I think he just wants to play golf and do his thing, and he's just kind of tasked with being the president. And there's other people behind him that are creating these machinations against our democratic lifestyle. and our democratic way of life. I think people behind him are actively looking for power and want to create a bit of anarchy, but in a controlled way to get the people riled up, have them fight each other, and then in the end they'll sort it out because they'll still have the power. So it's like rules for thee and not for me. So it's like I can go into a Starbucks and order a drink and say, I need you to write Charlie Kirk on it just because you have to say his name out loud. But those same people who are trying to get these baristas fired are the same people who didn't want a quiet LGBTQ flag chalked or painted onto the ground in the city. They were losing their minds. The same people who couldn't wear a mask during the pandemic. The same people who railed against vaccines in the pandemic. All these things that didn't really, they're affecting people personally, right? You're making your personal decision on it or whatever. But these are things that are not really, in my opinion, they're not things that were hurtful to anyone. So yeah, we understand that you miss Charlie Kirk or whatever it is that you found great within him. Yes, you missed that person. I think a lot of people didn't even know who he was. They're just caught up in it because it's the way that they can get back at the left, or it's just a way that they can get back at people they don't particularly like, or they can force people to do something that they wouldn't normally do, right? So imagine people going into Starbucks and saying, my name is George Floyd, and let me throw my coffee on the ground and be disruptive in your place of business because you didn't say the full name. You just said George. If they owned a business, they wouldn't want someone coming in doing that to them. I get it that, if this is your hero, you want his name remembered, right? He got a lot of things that we would never guess that he would get. Military style funeral and all that stuff, the flags at half-mast and all this type of stuff. It really wasn't something that would have ever happened before, but it's happening now because it's the rules for thee and none for me. They're just enforcing their power. They're showing their strength. They don't really care what the subject matter is or how it kind of would make them look, or how it rubs off on them and what people think about them. Because if your connection to a bigot is that strong, or somebody who at least espoused those types of values, bigoted values, then you should probably feel something within your soul like, hey, this ain't right. But these people are callous. They don't care about that. They don't care what it might look like. What they're trying to do is get the agenda done. And this is just a piece that gets them to the end goal. It's just a piece that they can use to push it a little bit further forward. Because society's not going easily, right? We're not going easily into dictatorship. I think we've kind of let it happen a little bit easier than I thought we would as Americans, because it goes so far against our values and so far against the Constitution and all of that, and we're having all of that questioned, and I think we've let it happen a little bit easier. But at some point, people are going to have to stand up and say, hey, this is not going to happen. It's a bridge too far. I mean, we have Ted Cruz standing up right now saying this about Trump, right? And ABC, he's going too far because, number one, these are American values. This is something guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States, freedom of speech. And if you don't have that, and if you can undermine that, and you can put that on a sandy foundation, then everything else in the Constitution is also on a sandy foundation. So these people are not, they're stupid in a way, but they're not stupid, right? They understand what the end goal is. The end goal is to undermine the Constitution so that they can grab more power. And we're seeing it happen. We're watching it happen. And the way they're accomplishing that is by using their power to silence individuals. So Trump can get up and say something crazy about somebody. I think probably I would say I haven't really seen him really berating people the way that I think he was in the past. Maybe it's just my vantage point and where I'm looking from and my vision on it. Just because I'm here in Brazil, I don't get to see everything, but I get a lot through YouTube and all that. But he has other people that are able to kind of do that. Like when Carolyn Leavitt answers questions, when she not answers questions, because she don't answer any questions. I watched one this morning. It was so funny. I'm like, yo, that girl, they have the art down of like not answering any questions. So he uses her. He puts her out there. And like the one I was watching this morning, I was like, you see how she kind of bulldogs the person in the question just from the very first word. It's like her response is, look. And that's the way she comes off. And that's like, it's throwing that power out in front of your face. And it's authoritarian. Just in that one word, in the way that it's said, in the way that it's done, it's to put that person on the back foot. Whoever's receiving that is going to be on the back foot. So he's using people like her. He'll use like Pam Bondi or whatever. You see Kash Patel in front of the committee that he's talking to. I don't know exactly what the name was, but you see how he's reacting and how he's not taking it serious. He's being very mouthy and unprofessional in the way that he's responding and not answering the questions. You see all of them just getting up there not answering any questions. And it's very tense and it's very not tenacious is the word I'm looking for. I'm looking for a different word. It's very tense and it's very just argumentative, just the way that it's going. And so the more one side does it, the more the next side does it. The more one side does more and the next side does more. And it just becomes a mess. And we look and we go, are these the adults in the U.S.? These are our adults. These are our leaders. These are the people that we have elected and paid to represent us. And it's just this back and forth tit for tat. And it's just nonsense. But you can see it. And all of that plays into them asserting their power and saying, hey, I've got the power and you don't. And so I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. I can lie to you to your face, which is the most disrespectful thing you can really kind of do to a person. I'm going to lie to your face knowing that you can look it up and find out that it's a lie. But I don't care about you. I disrespect you enough to lie to your face. I'm that disrespectful. And you got the president doing the same thing. He lies about everything. First he stopped 5 wars, then it was 6 wars, then it's 7 wars, then it's 10 wars. We stopped 7 wars, but it's really 10. Come on, dude. So, come on, man. Just lying. It's just crazy. But it's like they would tell you to a person that, the Democrats lie. And it's probably true, right? Probably not even probably. Like, they lie too. Like, they'll spin things the way that they want to spin it too. So that exists, but it's like, what are your values? What do you really, truly value? Do you value honesty? Because if you require honesty, you would not only require it from someone else, but before that, you would require it from yourself. So they don't really value that either. They value power and money. And that's about it. They don't really care. I don't believe they really care what happens to the United States or the citizens of the United States. If you're with us, you're going to feel great for a while. because we're gonna make you feel like you're winning against the liberals, and you're winning against the leftists, and you're winning against the Antifa, and you're winning against all of these groups, and you're winning against the LGBTQ community, because we're able to use our power to spread our ideology, and then we're able to use it to force people to do what we want them to do. And a lot of the people, MAGAs on the right, that's what they love, because they don't have that power. They've never had that power, and they felt like someone's got to have that power that looks like me, right? So that's what they want. They want to be able to say somebody's got that power and we're sticking it to them. But they don't realize, like, in the end, it's not going to work like that for you. Because if all of us were gone, every Democrat, every leftist, every person who's moderate or whatever, who slightly disagrees, if everybody's gone and you're the only ones left, how are they going to be able to control you? That's what they don't think about. They don't think about how they're going. If everyone else was gone, how would these people treat you when you don't have money? You don't know where your next, paycheck's coming from. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. You don't know if you're going to be able to pay the electric bill or your car note. What happens then? They've got to be dominant. They have to be in control. So what happened is, the rules that you and I made together, because they'll make it seem like you guys were together in this. The rules that you and I made together now no longer apply, because we only have you to oppress. So we got to take those rules and make those rules oppress you. We got to take those rules and make those rules apply to you, twist them a little bit so that you're under our thumb and you're subservient to to our power and to our desires. That's all they would do. Because that's where they get their value from. That's where their self-esteem comes from. So this is why they don't care if they lie to you. Because they're not just lying to the Democrats. They're lying to you too. If you're MAGA or you're on the right, they're lying to you too, because they know that you don't have power. You can't fix it. If they lie to you, what can you do? Now, you can go and make your voice heard, right, in town halls, and we saw a lot of that happening in those communities, and I applaud that. I think it was wonderful to see you stand up and say, listen, this is not what we wanted. This is not what we voted for. This is not what we wanted. You're hurting our communities. This is this is not good. You haven't kept your promises. Eggs are still at a certain price. Gas is at a certain price. We're not happy with that. And, you're firing people in the parks division, the parks division, and you're firing all these people that are our sons and our daughters and our aunts and our uncles, and these are people that we know. Thousands and thousands of people they were firing, forgetting that, okay, all of these people are attached to more people that may support you, but you don't care. Why? Because you already got the vote. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, you see how they did that. They loved you all the way up until election day, and then they found out that Trump's going to be the president, and then what happens? Then all of a sudden they don't love you anymore. They'll do whatever they want to you. Will make you all, I don't know what that is here, people sending me reels. They'll continuously do things to you that are against your interest. They'll cause you to lose your farm, cause you to lose your job, and tell you, it's going to get better in about, 2 years it'll be better. And in 2 years, they've done so much stuff, you don't even remember that. And it's never going to get better. So they've already done that to the right because they don't believe that you're valuable. They don't value the way that you think. They don't have the morals and the principles that you might espouse. And that's why I'm concerned. I'm just like, power is a really strong thing. Power is people desire power so much that they'll go against their religion to get it. And to feel like they have it. They don't even have it, and they just want to feel like they got it. And that's a scary thing when you're going against Jesus, because a lot of these people will fight you tooth and nail and tell you they're Christians, but they're going to go against the principles and morals that Jesus laid out to feel powerful and to get what they want. Now, when you can make someone, or not even make them, you're just coercing them, or you're just suggesting that, hey, I can give you power if you give us a little bit of your religion, then they got you, right? They got you. Because you're willing to let the devil be your guide and letting him set the pace for where you go to. I'm not a preacher. I'm really not a religious person either. I know that part of it because I grew up in kind of a hyper-religious situation. So I've read the Bible through and through multiple times, studied it, and although I was given other publications to go with it to explain it according to the doctrine, I still kind of know what it says. And I know what the values are and what it espouses. And I know that if you are compromised, that it's not going to go well for you according to the belief of the Bible. You cannot be compromised. You cannot have one foot in and one foot out. You're either Christian and you're doing Christian things and you move in a Christian way, and you don't allow things that are not Christian to infiltrate your life, or you're on the other side. If you got one foot out, you're on the other side. That's the way that it's taught. I didn't make that up. That's the way that it's taught, right? So a lot of people have just kind of smeared that line because the Bible says that God hates liars. But they're willing to allow a liar to lie to them and lie to the public and to rule over them because they feel like they're going to get a little bit of power. They're taking something that they haven't been able to get before. And they're willing to give up their religion for it. But pretend to everyone that they're the most highly religious. They're so morally just above the others that they can't be talked to. They can't be touched. They're so morally clean and untouchable. But you love a liar. And the Bible says that God hates a liar. It says it right in the text. He said that the father of the lie is the devil. So why would you align yourself with that? I just don't understand. And it's just power is just a hell of a drug. And it will induce you to do something that you shouldn't do. And that's why I say that in like 10 years, maybe a little longer, maybe we would say 15 years, we won't be able to find a whole lot of people that will admit that they were MAGA. I think a lot of people, once we kind of come through this process that we're going through now, maybe the next 3.5 years or whatever of disaster, is going to end in a really bad way. And I think there are going to be people who are like, oh, well, we're Christian and we love Jesus and we hate lies. And they'll just kind of disappear into the woodwork and say, oh, what is MAGA? I don't know what that was. Even though there's pictures of them with the MAGA hat on and all this other stuff, and they know, that they're involved with it. And I mean, even now, there are people already falling off the wagon over there. They're already falling off the wagon because they realize, like, oh, this is not what we were told. This is not what I thought it was. Even though they were telling you and you were hearing it, you're just in that funk and you were in that fog and you couldn't make a different decision. Maybe you had pressure from people around you. Maybe it feels like sometimes the movement gets to be, the fervor in the movement gets you tied up in it. And then you compromise yourself, and then you realize at some point, oh shoot, I'm compromising myself and what I believe in, my morals. I'm compromising what I think America should be, and I'm giving it over to people that have the money and power to take it. So you're not actually giving anything, they're taking it from you. What are you going to do when you're told that you can't speak religiously? Because that'll come next. Because that's the thing that's morally, that's setting the line morally, right? It's setting the standard morally. We know that you're not supposed to lie. Why? Because we read it in the Bible, right? You're not supposed to lie. You shouldn't need a book to tell you that, but we do have a book that tells us that. So you should be able to take that information and set a guideline for your life. It's setting the guideline, right? But a lot of people have just blurred that guideline. They've trampled all over it, and they're allowing other people to drag them past it. And I think that in a few years' time, you'll see that there will be people that act like this never happened, like none of it ever happened. That's if we get out of this in fairly good shape. There is that opportunity for it to really go left or go right and they really just destroy America. America's not that old. It's 250 years old, right? It's 250 years old. There's civilizations and countries and places that have been around way before the United States has been around, and they're still here. So it's fairly young, kind of young and dumb. I think this is maybe our beginning of our teenage years, where we start to smell ourselves a little bit and start to think we could just do whatever we want to do. But then eventually you come out of it, you become an adult, and you grow out of that, and you go, oh, okay, I understand why my parents were telling me not to do it this way. I understand why I was being guided in a certain way. I think America's just kind of going through that rebellious teenage stage, if we want to put it that way. But we're going to have to learn the lesson. And sometimes the lessons get learned the hard way. You got kids that, maybe they, got in trouble a little bit here and there. They went through a couple little programs and things like that, and they got their lives straight, and it's good, right? That's how we want America to be. Go through this a little bit, learn from it, and move on. Or you got the kids that don't learn, right? Kids that don't learn, they're constantly in trouble or whatever like that. Boom, they're in a DUI and they killed 2 people. And now their life is screwed. That's not the America that we want to live in. We don't want to be living in America that kept going down the wrong path when they're being told constantly, stop going down this path. We don't want to continue going down that path, because it's going to end in real disaster that it's going to take years for us to get out of, if we ever can get out of it. We're destroying our relationships with other countries and allies and individuals. We've got Russia just had 3 fighter jets enter Estonian airspace. Then we had the drones that they sent into Poland. So there's other things out there in the world that are occurring that could end up being conflict and affect a lot of people. And all because the American people wouldn't stand up and say, no, this is not what we want. It's going to be too late when we stand up, because we're fighting each other. We're accepting lies every day. We're accepting lies in order to further our agenda. And we're looking at small things. We're looking at things that are so small in the grand scheme of things of what's happening in the world, and we're not aware and we're not paying attention to the things that are happening in the world. I mean, we got a president that's talking about taking over Canada and taking over Greenland, taking back the Panama Canal. You can't do that non-militarily. I mean, unless they're willing to just give themselves up to you, which is not going to happen. So we're looking for conflict. We're actively looking for conflicts. And there are other countries like Russia who's actively in conflict. And they're looking for more. Even though they're not even finished with this one, they're looking for more. I think we could end up in a third world war. And that's why I got World War III on the end of this video. So I'm going to end it here. Just my thoughts for today. That's all I'm doing. Just spitball and just kind of going off of my head here and just trying to understand and trying to talk through what we got going on and see if I come up on anything new. Hopefully you guys come up on anything new. If you got anything to put in the comments, let me know. All the bots and things that are trying to comment, we kicking you out. That's not going to work. All right, so it's your boy Derek. Make that make sense. Peace.
World War III, everybody else down on the block but me. I'm in the sky, rise high, living comfortably, cause somebody gotta live and report what they see. In the land of milk and honey, man, you wanna be the bear, but you gotta ignore the fear and Goldilocks stare. Walk with a big stick, pretend you care, and when they see you coming, niggas running everywhere. I think the angel of the earth, cause it's dangerous, B. One day we gonna learn that freedom is not free. Don't waste your time, one day you gonna see the fruit can't grow without the roots of the tree. Starve if true, and light to no good, but it's literal. You could die without food. Music sound whack, perform the crowd boo. Promoter shook his head like goddamn dude. You only had one job and you messed it up. You would've got paid, should've blessed it up. Now get out my face before I rock it fitted. This is World War III, everybody can get it, yeah.
Imagine what it's like when they burn the sun, when they blocking out the light and the dark is come. Never seen the sunset, it'll take your breath. I'ma drop these bombs and there's nothing left. Better stay out my way, cause I don't play. And I'm very unsure how I feel today. Y'all smile like a lamb and I roar like a lion, launching these missiles in the hole like Zion.
My tongue is too sharp, but the pain got the powers. Gentlemen bucking with the switch from the towers. 7 foot tall, niggas prone to brawl. When you up that thing, they ain't with it at all. Man, he serving knockoffs, it ain't really official. The logo is the same, but the product artificial. On free and the system wanna enslave me. Take everything I own and give it back to me. Trickle down now, I need a whole enchilada. I got a right to resist, pump your fist in the fire. I'm prone to conflict, that's why I came. Steph is dope, need to change your name to Steph is a whole, cause Steph is lame. All artillery ready, we is not the same. I could probably drone on, tell you out the frame. Man, listen, it's always fake shit that be shiny and glistening.
Can't imagine what it's like when they burn the sun, when they blocking out the light.